This is the Tastemakers.
May we start?
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another Tasty Tuesdays talk with Zebra and Geebs. I am Zebra, and I am always happy to introduce my lovely co-host who's always with me, Miss Geebs.
What is going on, Zebra? It's always nice to be with you.
How's it going?
It's good. It's a beautiful day. LA's shining.
Oh, what's good, everybody? My name is Zander. Pleasure to be on the show this Tasty Tuesday. I am a life coach and astrologer.
Yes, anything else you want to mention besides that?
And it's super duper human.
Super duper human. Yeah, let's just start there. Life coach, astrologer.
Okay, life coach. I feel like I have to explain what a life coach is to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't, not to me. I would hire you if I would say it's like a therapist in a way.
Exactly.
Right? That's how I would interpret it. Like I want to talk to someone. I want to better my life. I want to figure out some issues in my life. Who am I going to call? It's either I'm going to go like spirituality. I'm going to go life coach. I'm going to see a therapist. I'm going to talk to someone. I hope someone would talk to someone if they had some problems.
I hope so too. I wish it was that easy.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it was that easy. Yeah, basically there's a difference between a therapist and a life coach. So a therapist, a lot of people find it's just emotional dumping and then what's next? You know, like someone sits there and listens to you versus a life coach is kind of implementing like actionable suggestions and things like that. Also, legality is I can say whatever I want as a life coach to somebody, honestly. And as a therapist, there's certain things that I can't say. You know, like I can tell someone you're being a piece of shit today, you know, but a therapist shouldn't say that. And then a
good therapist.
A good therapist shouldn't say that. I find a lot of people just leave therapy kind of empty. Like I said, it's just emotional dumping. And from my experience, a lot of my clients are like, they have literally left their therapist after talking with me. You know, they feel like it's a lot more in depth and just hearing something versus just, okay, you're just talking to somebody that's just not really giving any feedback or telling you where to go, giving any direction. Actually, it's just literally emotional dumping. And then psychiatrists is like they emotional dumping, but they will prescribe you drugs. Mm-hmm. I don't as much prescribe people drugs, but people are into different things. So I don't know, I'm not opposed to
just recreational drugs.
Yeah, psychedelics maybe.
Yeah,
you know?
Microdose.
Yeah, exactly. I'm opposed to elicit some type of breakthrough.
So what type of person would you say that usually calls you?
That usually calls me midlife crisis. Definitely midlife crisis. And the other, which is my favorite, which I call like quarter life crisis, which is right before your Saturn return. Not to dive into astrology, but so that would be age 28 to 32.
So that's the quarter crisis, life crisis.
Yeah.
And then midlife isn't midlife usually 40?
Yeah, like late 40s, 50s. Okay. Those are the ones that are like, oh, you're so young.
So you like the ones that are quarter life crisis?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Why is that?
Because that just the whole Saturn return.
Saturn return.
Yeah, what is that? I've heard that a couple times.
If you want to go to astrology, we'll go right into astrology.
It went there. So Saturn return.
I just know there's rings around Saturn.
There is.
And I didn't know it ever left.
Those rings are walls and limitations in your subconscious.
Okay.
So when Saturn returns, you're forced to face those rings, as you said. You're forced to face those fears. It's literally like that wake up, what the fuck moment. I can curse, right? That's totally
yeah, of course.
I already did.
I'll put beep.
Yeah, that wake up moment where your morals change, you know, your perception of things kind of change, and you're forced to face your fears. Any limitations that you have begin to dissolve. So getting people that are starting that transition to help give them some kind of guidance is the most exciting. I feel like the most favorite. That's when you just become more disciplined. Like what you thought was important in life kind of changes. And that usually happens around 37 to 32, depending on where Saturn was when you were born.
How do you get someone to actually think that way though? You know, you just gotta use those negatives and put in a constructive way to be positive and, you know, and do something with your life, you know?
Yeah, do something with your life, fucking loser.
Get your shit together.
That's how I tell
that's what
together, man.
That's how I would tell them. But
Hey, Saturn's kicking your ass. Get your shit together right now.
Basically, I'll tell you, it depends on the person I'm talking to.
Because you said you put in astrology into your life coaching, but do some reject it? Like, oh, I don't want to hear that.
Oh, definitely. I'm still using it behind the doors though, whether they like it or not.
I mean, you'll know if you're using it, but you could change your language.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, in my consultations, I ask people.
And you're like reading a chart.
Yeah. So I ask people for their birthday, just like, oh, let me just ask you, like,
your birthday. Yeah. What time were you born?
Yeah.
First,
just throw it in there, like, casually, like, hey,
give me your
what time were you born?
Yeah.
Social security number.
Like, what's your name? Where do you live? And what time and city were you born in?
This is important.
Okay. Yeah. So I kind of just like slide it in like that. But then I ask, like, okay, do you have any religious beliefs that I should be considerate of? And then I say, hey, I do implement astrology. Are you opposed to that or not? Because some people are like, no, I'm Christian, whatever that means, that they don't like that. And I'm like, okay, take note, but I still got your birthday though. So I can't go too far. But after a while, honestly, there's people that completely convert.
Well, I was thinking, because if you read someone's chart, you can find out a lot about the person from just those dates, like you said, right?
Well,
and then once you start telling someone, wouldn't they be surprised? Usually?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Most of the people that are opposed to astrology only know their sun sign. Mm-hmm. That's it. I don't. And
then what is your sun like? For people that don't know,
your sun sign is where the sun was when you were born. That's what most people are familiar with. What's your sign? What are you? What's your zodiac? It's literally just asking, where's the sun when you were born? That's it.
And that's just one part of your personality,
that's
or
one part of your personality that is considered. I mean,
what other aspects are there?
Closest thing to identity is the sun, as well as what's real to you, your source of power, as well as your ego. So obviously there's a big attachment to that and someone how to identify just the sun, but there's so many other depths, other aspects that you brought up. Your emotional depth, which would be the moon, your kind of like primal urges, sense of survival, which would be Mars. Mm-hmm. When it comes to love and affection, things like that, your interests, what you're attracted to would be Venus. As I talk about Saturn, it's more so your sense of discipline, structure, the beginning and end of things, your fears, your kinks. It's always a good one.
What's another one?
Neptune would be your dream state.
What's Uranus?
What's Uranus? Uranus is one of my favorites.
Oh, I bet it is.
So Uranus speaks to the places in your life that you stand against the status quo. Where are you weird, basically? That's what Uranus is.
That's why it's called Uranus.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, where are you weird? Where do you challenge society? Where are you just like kind of abruptly weird?
So what can you define like the mechanisms of astrology, of how it goes into play on someone's person? Like, you can look at someone's birth chart. Is it have, like, my question is, does it have to do with energy that you got the moment you breathed your first breath, and you were born, and it was set, your chart was set? Is it more so, did we take on the energy of the sky that was, the place, everything? I can't even question it right now. Everything that was in place at the time that you were born.
Ooh, this is gonna go a little deep. So
that's what we're here for. We like it deep.
It depends on if you believe that you chose this life or not. And you have the concept of a star seed, even, where it's like you believe consciousness is projected onto human beings in that moment of birth. It's like you kind of have this path, this fate that you're entrusted to before you're even born. And did consciousness get projected onto inside of your parent to fulfill that to the best way possible, is one way to look at it. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened, when you think about it, no one controls when a baby is born except for the baby. Mm-hmm. And theoretically, the baby decides when it comes out based off of when it's the most sensitive to the astrological placements. Mm. So, for instance, you being a Gemini, you're at the beginning or the end?
I'm at the very first day.
You're at the very first day. Yep. So you would have approached life totally different. So you decided, okay, no, I'm going to come out here instead of earlier so I can fulfill what I need to. That sets up the best way possible for me to fulfill why I came to this planet in the first place. And then I think it's literally as simple as when you think about, people ask, oh, where are you from? Like, that matters. It's like, it kind of does matter, your environment, right? Your close proximity to things influence who you are. So think about it on a macro level. What about the astrological, the celestial environment? if you believe in energetic influence, it's literally the same thing, just on a grand scale. So at that moment that you took your first breath, you decided to do it at that moment. That's when you were the most stimulated, the most sensitive, and that just, I feel like, infuses your life path and gives you the tools that you need to do it. Some people don't believe in the idea of fate. You know what I mean? They feel like everything is just built from the moment on. But if you do believe in that you have almost a purpose, a calling, a reason, a mission why you're here, let's say it's like a gamble. Like everything's moving all around, but it's like if you hit this button, you get the cards that you need to do why you came here. If you hit it differently, you'll get something different, but it's like already what your mission is. As a Gemini, it's like, okay, if you were a Taurus, it's like if your mission in life was to host a radio show, ask people questions, gather as much information as possible, you're going to be like, okay, if you're right there on the borderline, like you're going to be like, okay, no, I'm going to wait and I'm going to come out when I can be a Gemini, because that's going to give me the energy influence that I need to fulfill this goal that I know I have. I feel like from birth, we know who we are. We know why we're here. And a lot of life experiences, it's literally just reminding you who the fuck you are.
True.
We forget it. Religion, our parents condition us to forget who we are. But when you think about these natural proclivities that everyone has, even down to your fears, whether you think it's from past life or regardless of wasn't this life, you know what I mean? It's like, you know that already. Just as a baby, you can't express it. You can't say, no, mom, I'm supposed to be a dancer.
Yeah,
Oh,
they want to be a doctor.
Yeah, and they're like, no, you're gonna be this instead. So a lot of people that gets erased, like up to like the age of 4. It's like who you are, and around that age is when it all just gets erased, which ironically is when people start school. I think almost every experience is a sign. Every experience is literally a reflection of your state of consciousness. Every experience, every person you encounter is literally shows you where you are in life, and how you grasp it is based off of your current state of consciousness. And I think the signs are literally screaming at us everywhere, all day, every moment. But it takes understanding them, learning the language, which is, through numbers, through experiences with people, through even down to colors. They're definitely there. So I feel like I wouldn't say how many chances you get. Like eventually your spirit guides, whatever we're going to call them, are going to say, okay, I'm tired of giving you
that's what I'm wondering. Like if you never said, okay, that tarot card right there said, look into the stars.
Yeah.
And you ignored it again.
Exactly. I think it would keep on happening. On the other side, I think whatever I did choose to do instead of that would not be as fulfilling. And that's a sign, you know what I mean? This like emotional starvation that you're going to feel. Well, certainly. It's like with success, it's like, okay, I may have like wealth and stuff like that, but it's like you're starving internally. Your soul is starving.
You might have become a therapist.
And then a life coach.
Yeah, definitely. But everyone's obviously different as far as their ability to perceive the signs and how they view them. Like definitely, like that's like no one's equal. I hate the bull crap that people preach. Everyone's equal. Absolutely, no one is equal. The only thing that people all have in common is the opportunity to grow. But even that capacity at which they grow is totally different for everybody.
I'm like,
I'm
kind of like in the end, I'm like, just do it. I don't know. It doesn't always have to fit perfect, right?
I agree. Like I said, from my experience, it always works backwards for me. Like I look at all these resources as simply confirmation. It's like if it's not working for you and this is what your heart desired, you may be living with force instead of power. Like you're trying to force it. Maybe that's not you.
That's the correct word. Probably force. Trying to make something. But if it puts in positive energy and mindset, I guess what's wrong with it?
Yeah, wrong with it. But I think it also a little bit of an imposter. Like, are you that aligned? Or it's like you just really want to be. Like I said, I think all of these tools, it should just be confirmation, not so much like, oh, you're creating this life. I feel like there's some trouble with that. Fate and destiny. Like I feel like fate is going to be what it's going to be, but destiny takes you being fully aware of that fate and actualizing it. Like that's your will. Everyone has. Let's think about clothing, fashion design, interest of mine. If I give you the same fabric right now. We all get the same fabric. It's like we get the same resources, everything. What we do with it is going to be totally different. Totally different. So yeah, you definitely have willpower involved, most certainly. And then I also think it relates with how self-aware people are, how aligned they are with their true self as well. But the whole excuse thing, like that's
I just feel like that.
Thing ever.
Well, I just feel like that's what gets usually thrown out there. People use that because I'm supposed to be this way. But again, it's only probably to their sun sign.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they're like, I'm that's just who I am. Like, okay, you know this, so is it actually beneficial for you? Is it serving you right now? You know, it could have been serving you in other years of your life. Is it serving you right now? Can you learn from someone else? If you keep having to say this, obviously that just shows the resistance of somewhere that you need to push yourself a little further. You know, like you need to question, why am I like this? Instead of just, oh, this is who I am. Why am I like this? Is it effective right now? Because philosophy, I don't believe in really good or bad people, but I believe in good and bad timing. I think you were the way you were for a reason. You built that at that time, but that doesn't last forever. You know, you may be doing that at a bad timing, and that makes a bad person. Questioning all of your motives, everything about yourself, why you do this. You know, like, what do you actually need from this? You know, like, I feel like there's always something deeper there besides just the action that is taken. You know, there's usually some, you know, when you think about a title that somebody wants, say if it's at a job or something like that, it's like on the surface, it's like, oh, they just want a promotion. But it's like, no, what emotional fulfillment that may have been neglected years ago are you getting from that title, from that position? You know, just really thinking about how much deep, and it goes like it usually always back to childhood, you know, when it comes to your emotional desires, fulfillments, but that puts in perspective your motives in life, why you're doing something. So they're continually questioning everything you do, which a lot of people don't. They're good at questioning other people, but questioning their self would be the start of shadow work.
And that may be the hardest question of all. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no one ever wants to be the villain of their own story.
I know, but how don't you need a villain be a villain to yourself to get anywhere?
Yeah, you do.
I mean,
That separates people that are grown and people that aren't. And the sad reality is that a lot of times people don't want to be the villain, so they don't try to have those conversations with themselves. They try and find excuses and other things and make other people the villain. And I guess that's where shadow work comes in, is you got to sit down and be like, yo, for everything that has happened to you and you're reacting like, oh, why? You have to also acknowledge your play in it.
Yeah, responsibility.
Accountability.
Definitely. Responsibility, accountability. And that's the thing, obviously, the ego wants to defend itself and justify everything it's doing. So not even so much that they don't want to, like, even if they do ask the question, it's like they won't see it. You know, it's like puts yourself in this very vulnerable place that's not being dominated by ego to just defend everything that you're doing is right. Makes yourself seem like the good person all the time. I think a good practice as well, not to like be too hard on yourself, but anytime you get into any type of conflict with someone, start processing it as I was wrong. And let me see how I was wrong. You know, or like more so, how could I have done something different that resulted in a different effect? You know, so I feel like, and that's a tricky space where you don't want to be beating yourself up like all day, every day, but you kind of should. You know what I mean? When you really realize that every decision you make creates your life, you know, and even the things that you feel like are out of your control, it's like, okay, there was something you were supposed to get out of it. That's why I was welcomed into you. You know, there's billions of people here. Why are you experiencing this? But yeah, definitely just, it takes being okay, being in this vulnerable place, and looking at yourself as the villain sometimes. Like, yeah, question, oh, why did this? This is like messed up. And whatever people want to call them, mind readers, psychics, whatever weird terms people want to play. Like, I feel like,
psychic. Ooh, that's a sign right there. Psychic across the street.
There you go.
There you go, guys.
Did it just show up?
The universe is just doing
it just.
And it's
we
purple.
all just noticed it right now.
And it's
Psychic.
purple. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, purple.
You know?
Is that your favorite color?
No, it's not my favorite color, but I mean,
It's a powerful color.
Yeah.
All right, colors go into. I'm sure go into.
All right, we'll do that for another show.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's
Colors.
like
Colors, numbers, and stars. I feel like I'm in a kindergarten.
I mean, it's that fundamental. It's that fundamental.
Well, you said it. You know, you forget everything by age 4. So
You do.
You replace the definitions with other ones.
But isn't it true? They say you're always a child. You just have to adapt to life.
And that's where astrology comes in.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to be a child again.
Yeah.
Remind yourself.
Definitely.
Rebirth your inner child. That's a huge one.
Shout out to you too.
All right,
thank you, man.
Show.
All right, thanks, Zander.
Thank you so much. It was an amazing talk. We appreciate you
Likewise.
for coming out.
Until next time.
All right, everyone have a good day.
You're listening to Tastemakers
with Zebra and Geebs.